I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. And I always knew deep down in my heart that once I get there, I'm going to be really, really good at it. And then to my biggest surprise and disappointment, the first year of my son's life basically brought out the worst in me. I was angry, frustrated all the time. I was yelling at a 4 month old for not falling asleep in my arms. Like, who does that? Nothing I've ever done was good enough.
What should you do when you feel like you have problems bonding with your baby after they're born because of you had a traumatic birth? So you feel like you're in so much pain constantly, 24/7. You're stressed out, you don't get enough sleep, the baby is not reacting, going to sleep, not giving you enough time. Now your marriage, partnership is breaking up with all of this pressure and everything. So what should you do? Because there are lots of segments, there are lots of specialists that some of them might address the physical pain in your body. Some of them will diagnose you with postpartum depression and they will want to give you some therapy or some medication for it. Somebody will come and tell you like, oh, you should do counseling therapy for your marriage with your partner, right? Like couple therapy. And it's like, but I don't have the time. It's like so much going on at the same time. So how you can take it end to end. This is a story. This is what this podcast episode is for and about. This is for moms who have tried everything. You are feeling overwhelmed with all of these choices. You're trying to make it all work by yourself because you think if I just push hard enough and if I'm just consciously aware, I will stop yelling at my baby and I will be more patient, calm mom. And you've been trying and pushing and it's not working. So what do you do next? What you will get in this Zen Supermom Podcast episode is an interview with mom who went exactly through this. Jacqueline started and she's going to share with you very openly her story about exactly what was happening in her life and why she was in so much pain physically and emotionally and how she turned it around in less than 3 months. What is it that she did? How did it feel at the beginning? And most importantly, the inspiration. See her shine right now and let her tell you what becomes possible once you get that accountability, once you take responsibility for your own healing, you listen to your intuition, you find something that is going to work for you and you just commit and you go for it. What becomes possible then? Want to find out? Want to hear it from Jacqueline directly? Well then, come and meet me with her inside this Zen Supermom Podcast episode. We made it for you. Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for wanting to share your story on the Zen Supermom Podcast. Welcome.
Hi, Elena. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, just like I told you before we hit record, I'm like, it's it's so crazy to think that just a couple of months ago, I was listening to these inspirational stories on your podcast, and now I'm the one who gets to be here. So it's really an honor, and I'm very excited.
And I'm so happy for you that you got in such a place that you're willing to like openly share and you have the courage. And we were checking this also just before I hit the record. If you're still okay with your face on the camera, with your name
Yeah,
being there. And
yeah.
like this just shows your strength, your courage. And also like how much result you got that you're not even afraid to talk about how it all began. So well
Yeah,
done for that.
yeah.
And let's start there. Let's start at the beginning. What
Yeah.
made you even want to, because like everybody else, you start with that like mommy tantrum things and like all of my free content. So let me know what even made you sign up for that. What was the challenge?
Yeah. So I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. And I always knew deep down in my heart that once I get there, I'm going to be really, really good at it. And then to my biggest surprise and disappointment, um, the first year of my son's life basically brought out the worst in me. Everything I didn't want to be. I was impatient, distant, resentful, angry, frustrated all the time. I was yelling at a 4 month old for not falling asleep in my arms. Like, who does that? Right.
Well, mom who's
Um,
caring too much, and let's share that because this is not even, and I want every mom to hear that because it's not even your fault in a way. Like you were doing your best, but what were all the things that made it difficult to stay calm for you?
Yeah, so at that moment I didn't know, of course, what it was. I thought it was him. It's all because of him.
Yeah,
But I'm
but what
gonna
was
go
happening
back
in
to
your
tell
life?
you, yeah,
Let's go
exactly.
even, yeah.
I'm gonna go back to tell you and explain you like a little bit more, so there's a little more context to it. So my pregnancy was a dream, but then I had a traumatic birth. Um, really, I had a really difficult time straight out of the hospital, also with my physical recovery. So it was not just traumatic in my head, but I almost broke my tailbone giving birth. Um, and and the doctors didn't believe me. They kept telling me, "Oh, it's normal, just keep taking your painkillers. It will go away." Me being a first-time mom in the fog of postpartum, I had no, you're the one who knows. If you're telling me it's fine, I'm sure it is. So I just kept on living with the pain, which was like nonstop 24/7 until finally, very long story short, this is not the main thing, but I finally found help for myself and an osteopath put my bones back in place. So at least finally the physical pain was gone after 5 months of constant pain. And then I was telling myself, okay, well, this must be the reason why I'm coping so badly with motherhood because I'm in pain. Like it makes perfect sense. I'm in physical pain. So once that goes away, I'm sure I'll be calm. I'm sure I'll be loving my son and I'll be happy and I'll be enjoying all of it. Well, the pain is gone, but nothing's changed. So then I'm like, okay, then this must be still the trauma of giving birth in me. So I'm like, what can I do? I scheduled a talk with an independent midwife um, to help me understand what happened during my birthing experience because I live abroad in a foreign country, and when it became an emergency, all the people around me were talking in the language that I don't yet talk, I'm not yet proficient in. So I didn't even understand what was happening. So I spoke to this independent midwife who explained me like the clinical side of things, and it did bring me a little bit of peace to my logical brain to understand what was happening and that there was really nothing I could have done differently because I was blaming myself obviously for not advocating for myself, for not being strong enough and blah 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 blah. But that helped my logical brain understand a little bit that okay, this wasn't my fault. um and I was like, okay, once I have this talk with this midwife and I'll be at peace with what happened, I'm sure I will be fine. I will be able to enjoy motherhood. And well, once again, it didn't bring me that peace and the result I was looking for. So then I love yoga. I'm a huge yoga freak. I've always been. And I was Googling what else could help. And I found a yoga therapist who works with your body to kind of help your body get out of fight or flight after a traumatic experience, like a shock trauma. So I did that. I did a little series of yoga therapy to help my body do this. And it did help with that one experience. Finally, once I finished that series, I didn't feel the weight of it sitting on my chest. I wasn't panicking after any time my brain shifted to giving birth, but all the rest was still the same. Nothing changed with my connection with my son. Nothing changed with me being frustrated, angry, distant, and just so disappointed in myself and in this phase of life. And by then he was over 6 months old. And this independent midwife that I spoke to, um, she was able to also refer me so that I got diagnosed with postpartum depression. And I was like, okay, well, this makes perfect sense now. This is the reason why. But I wasn't ready to accept it and ask for help at that time. He was around 6 months old. And I was like, nah, well, I'm stronger than that. I can push through that. I've
Let
been
me do it by
through
myself. Yeah, I'm smart
absolutely
enough. Willpower, motivation. Let's do it.
exactly. I've worked through the birth trauma now. I finally know what it is, so I can just it'll be fine. Just I don't even know what I was thinking that. But back then I was not in the space of being able to ask for help or accept help. I got this diagnosis and I was just like, okay, well, it's not a big surprise because I know I've been feeling like it's been a nightmare, but it'll go away. I'll be fine. I'll work through it by myself. Well, another half year has gone by. Fast forward to the first birthday of my son. And that was the point for me where I was like, this needs to end. This needs to end because this is my life. And I've just missed out on the first year of my son's life completely. It was not only a blur, but I only had like difficult and sad memories of like just me feeling miserable and unhappy and so sad. The first birthday of his life, I remember we went home to visit the family. It was summer holidays, so we were lucky enough to be surrounded by loved ones, and I had all the reasons to be happy. And I felt like I was in like a hole and I couldn't crawl out of it. I wasn't present for a single moment. I don't even really remember the day. But what I remember is that I was walking over to pick up his cake in the morning, and on my way over there, I was Googling symptoms of postpartum depression, and like I could feel that, okay, maybe it is real, and maybe I do need help, and like how do I get help? So that's my memory from his first birthday. Like something clicked in my head, and I was like, I do not want to waste another year. I do not want another birthday feeling like this. I want to get better. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to get better. And you know how Facebook algorithm is when you start Googling things or even just thinking about things, it's gonna start prompting you um, to places where you should be looking. And that's how I found you. So you popped up on my Facebook feed. And I started listening to, I love podcasts. So I started listening to your podcast. And I remember one episode you have about what to do right after you yelled with your kids or yelled at your kids. I was like, okay, well, I've done that a couple of times. I did yell at my son, so let's see what this one is gonna tell me. And I was expecting the same as I've already heard a couple of times from other accounts and other sources, like, make sure you apologize to your kid and that there's a resolution, and then so they feel like it's not their fault. And that's what I was expecting to hear from you too. And I just loved what you shared in that because it was not about him, it was all about me. What to do to help myself through that yelling episode. And I was just like, what? I'm also in the picture, even like it's not just about him. And that was like, okay, well, she knows what she's talking about. Like, I like this. Um, and then I kept listening more, and everything you shared just really resonated with me. I was like, yeah, this is what I need to be doing. And then I took it one step at a time, sent you an email, and then with your lovely team, it was just so easy to flow into the process because it feels scary and big at the beginning, but I was just able to really take it step by step. Um, and I was so ready to dive into it with you that there was no question that I was going to do it. Um, yeah, that's pretty much
Wow.
how I found you and the struggles I've had. I would also like to add that the main reason was like me being so unhappy with my own motherhood, like feeling like I'm a victim. My whole life turned upside down, and here's this little baby who I'm supposed to love, but all I feel is resentment and anger And another big part of it was that my whole marriage was falling apart too. And I've heard all people saying that, yeah, the first 2 years of your children's life are going to be really difficult on your marriage. And I'm like, once again, I thought, okay, we just have to push through it. It's going to get better. But I was just so utterly disappointed in that version of us that it was just, we were like butt heading all the time about every little thing. There was no agreement. I felt like there was no support. I felt like we was working, yeah, against each other the whole time. And um, I got to a point several times where I was questioning our marriage too. Um, and that is a pattern in my family. All the women before me ended up alone. Um, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe this is going to happen to me too. I thought I found such a good man, and here I am. And yeah, it might not. So all of that just sent me into like a very miserable and desperate state for help, and for wanting to get better.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing because I can imagine there'll be
Yeah,
women sitting there with goosebumps thinking like, "Oh my gosh, this is me. How is it possible?" Because everything that
yeah,
you described is unfortunately so common. Like
yeah.
the birth experience is a huge or has a huge impact on how we bond with the babies afterwards. And if it's messed up, and there's so many women who had traumatic births, right? So I don't want to re-traumatize anybody here, but kudos to you for taking all the help and support and for like reaching out to people because this is a specific type of physical trauma that needs to be worked with indeed. But well done for not giving up and then like keep searching further and even having the courage, even though you mentioned like it felt like scary and big to engage in something and asking somebody for help. But well done for doing that. And indeed, it is very often having an impact on not just how you bond with the baby, but your relationship as well.
Oh
We have
yeah,
lots of moms who are already coming into the motherhood by being single or already the relationship like falling apart slowly. But if it
yeah.
doesn't, then it definitely gets tested in the first few years because there's so much pressure and stress on everybody, and everybody is in panic, not sleeping enough. So it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And I just want to add on that note, like I have a husband whom I know since I'm 12. He's like the best friend. He's the brother of my best friend from school. So I was like, well, there cannot be surprises, right? We know each other so well. It's like I had no questions about us at all, ever. I was like, we have the strongest foundation that there can be. Yet I was there. We were there, and I'm like, what is happening?
And it is so common as well, not just in the relationship with your partner or husband, but also in relationship with yourself. This is what I hear so many women say, like, I'm so calm under pressure. At work,
Yeah,
there are so many women in such high pressure, high stress situation, handling with such heavy stuff. And at work, they're just like, they're the Dalai Lama, and everybody's praising them and commenting like, wow, you handled it so well and you can be so calm in such a stressful situation. And then they become moms and then they come
yeah,
home to the little baby and they're like, "Pah!" Like, who is this in me? Like, where is this coming from? I thought I
yeah.
can handle. I'm not going to burn out. It changes everything. So let's go there to the level of or extent that you feel comfortable sharing. But what is it that you found out? Because this is what I'm all about, seeing the pattern that what's happening to you today that's impacting your kids' future. It did not start now, indeed. And it was much earlier on, even if you were such a warrior, even if in your relationship, like you were so strong, you knew each other inside out. But what is it? Where was it all
Yeah.
coming from for you?
Yeah. Honestly, I did have a feeling even before I met you, and I told you this in our assessment call, that I've always been so focused throughout my whole life. I thought this was just who I was. Achievements, achievements. Let's be the best one in class. Let's get 100%. Then let's get onto university. Let's get the best job. And like it was always about the results. Uh, and after a while, when I had my first job abroad, I was pushing, 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 pushing. It took over my entire life, that job. I started feeling like I have an unhealthy motivation for all of this. Like I keep doing it. I want to prove myself. I want to get that promotion. I want to climb higher, but it's not even making me happy. I finally got that promotion and I was like, okay, we had a beer with my colleagues. Yay, well done, good job. And I'm like, okay, that's it. So what's next now? And so I already before we met, I felt this part in me, this like this hyperachiever, really like pushing me, but I felt that it's not really for me. It's not making me happy. There's like an unhealthy motivation pushing me to do this. But I could never like understand where it was coming from. I just had this feeling. And then as I started working in your program with your coach and through all the mental fitness things, it so beautifully and slowly started opening up to me. And I found out there were several layers from early childhood memories that I was able to open up with Tina, who was my one-on-one coach. She did a wonderful job making me feel so safe that it was so easy. Um, well, it wasn't easy, of course. It's hard work, but it just came so naturally. The tears flooded, and I felt such relief immediately after our first session. And so we uncovered several things from my childhood. The first one that we were working on was where this hyperachiever trait might be coming from. And I was able to understand how the high standards of my dad, who was actually a teacher himself, and actually throughout most of my childhood, he made me feel more like he was my teacher than my dad. Um, I felt like nothing I've ever done was good enough for his standards. If I came home from school with a test that was 95%, then I didn't get a great job. I'm proud of you. I was immediately asked, well, where did those 5% go, right? What happened? Um, and so that's something that impacted me so deeply that I developed this, yeah, trauma coping mechanism very, very early on. We were able to unlock a childhood memory. It's such an innocent little memory of me drawing a picture. I loved drawing when I was little. I drew a beautiful picture that I was so proud of. And I remember on the paper, and I never had this memory before, but it came out throughout our session. I drew a rainbow in the corner of the paper, and I was so proud of this. And I walked up to my mom first. I showed it to my mom, and I remember her being super proud. And then I go with a little paper out to my dad in the kitchen, who was busy there, and I was so waiting for his approval and for his praise and for him to see how what beautiful of a job I've done. And I remember him just looking at it, like really examining it through the eyes of a teacher and letting me know that the colors of the rainbow are not in the right order. And then maybe I should draw it again and then just like correct that little piece there.
Let's take a pause here because this is a classic example of what is called, and sorry, I'm going to use the trigger word trauma because it is a trauma pattern. It's intergenerational. So it's not even your fault. It's not even your parents' fault. So we are not here to blame parents. And it is developmental trauma because it's 1,000 paper cuts. Little situation like this, if you would go and complain to somebody who went through abuse, violence, neglect, abandonment as a child who was an orphan because they lost their parents, They'll be like, "What the hell, you ungrateful little woman? What are you complaining about? Be happy that you had such an amazing childhood." And I could not agree less. We are not here to complain. We are not here to blame the parents. We are not here to paint your childhood black. We are here to realize why, even though it is completely normal for all the parents to want their kids to do the best and succeed in life and be happy and successful, why, if this is taken into being the key priority, whenever you look at your child, you want them to achieve, and that's your first order of like focus, how that gets screwed up. Because yes, there's nothing wrong with ambition. There's nothing wrong with being smart and wanting to have a career and well-paid, satisfying job. But whenever, exactly like Jacqueline is saying, that turns into a way how you prove your worth, how you get approval. Because if you don't have that, you feel like I'm not good enough. People will judge me. Nobody will like me. I will end up alone and broke and like right? That is the trauma underneath. So that's why the generational developmental trauma is not even about what happened to you. Because as you hear, like, if this is Jacqueline's worst childhood story, like, congratulations to you and your parents, right? Happy childhood. This is beautiful. However, this is why it's even more dangerous than any shock trauma. People who went through abuse, neglect, violence, they know they need help, they know they need therapy. But people like Jacqueline, who are like used to hyperachiever, just like I used to be, like on top of the corporate, like international expatriate career, I was like, I can do this by myself. Well, guess what, my dear? You can't. The same smart brain that is running your life cannot heal the nervous system underneath that's running on, I'm not safe, I'm not good enough, I have to keep proving, otherwise, like, I'm going to crash, burn, and end up being alone and unloved, right? So, this is a beautiful example of what is underneath.
Yeah, and that was like the first layer, and that was the one that I was in a way aware of, like the result of it, the hyperachieving. I just didn't know where the heck it came from and how deeply rooted it was and from how early on it was coming. So there were a million little examples like that with my dad. But I also want to mention, since you also brought up, and I'm here to, yeah, share everything, that's not the whole picture for me. Um, there was also one part that was linked to, I'm going to call it sibling rivalry, but wasn't even really. So it wasn't my parents, or indirectly it was, but the arrival of my little sister, just from that moment on, I felt non-existent in the family. Didn't feel seen or even important anymore. Whether I was there or not, it didn't matter. And yeah, I felt like my mom was not um like my needs weren't important anymore at all. Um, and another little example for that was, for example, again, my drawings beautifully put up on the wall because I was so proud of them. And my little sister, who's like ready to climb and crawl, was tearing them down the wall. And I was there, I was standing there. I remember my mom standing right next to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was in complete panic. Like my beautiful work is being torn off the wall. And like, mom, do something. And she was standing there and she was just watching and she didn't do anything about it. So that also made me feel like, okay, I'm like, she couldn't care less. I'm not even important anymore. So that was another big layer. But the third one was actual, um, yeah, sexual abuse, repeated sexual abuse, um, which my brain hit it so deeply. I was like kind of aware of the fact that it was happening, but not aware of the extent, I think, um, and definitely not aware of the impact that it had on me still to this day. And that was my biggest discovery about myself, that how controlling I used to be about every little thing in my life. I didn't, I saw it as a good thing, right? I'm like, I got all of this under control. I'm helping everyone. If I'm doing it, it will just get done the right way. So it's like, and I had no idea how much it was affecting not only me, but everyone in my environment, my relationships. And basically, it was the biggest reason why I struggled so much in the first year of my son's life. Because if he wasn't going to sleep when I thought he was supposed to, and I was doing everything right, I had the lights off, I was humming, I was rocking. I'm like, I'm doing everything. So why aren't you going to sleep? I thought that if I'm doing everything right, I'll get the results, right? Because that's how it's always been. But now you have a tiny little human who's his own person and doesn't care. Like if he's not tired enough, just because you think it's time to sleep, he's not going to sleep. Doesn't matter how much I'm trying to control the environment and whatever. So that actually the hyperachiever trait and the controller were my main two, and my own inner critic, the judge, as you call it, was working so strongly that, yeah, it was always in me, but motherhood opened up my eyes to the fact that something is so fundamentally wrong, and this is not who I am, not who I want to be. And yeah,
Thank you so much. And for
you're
sharing.
very welcome. I hope, yeah, I have to say it was like scary, like I told you at first. Like you're like, "Oh, am I ready to see what I'm gonna discover? Am I ready to deal with it?" But as you go through the program, you get all the tools to be ready to accept yourself the way you are, and not like there are also so many things that are like really confrontational to listen to about yourself, right? It doesn't feel right to hear that because you're like, nah,
It's the
okay,
reframing. Yeah, exactly what you said. When you consider this your strength, like your ambition
yeah,
and career for the hyperachiever, or the ability to organize and plan and turn chaos into structure, those are skills. Those are character qualities.
exactly.
The only thing is, and what is sometimes confrontational, is when you realize they're actually killing me at the back end and they do more
Yeah,
harm than good. And there is a more
yeah,
effective way to still use those skills. Like, don't change who you are. Let's just get that trauma layer out. Let's just get out
yeah,
the reason why you're overdoing it. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Jacqueline, I'm going to let you finish. I just want to also flip it into the positive
yes,
because our intention here is not just to make moms feel like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, there's so
absolutely.
much
Yeah, yeah,
mess,
yeah,
but we need to give them that inspirational part as well. Not to compare anybody, like, not to say, like, look at her, how amazing she is. Of course, we are putting her on a spotlight, but not on a pedestal. She's not better than you in any way. But I would love for you to share, like, what is different now to show hope to these moms that even if they went through something very similar like you, I want you to tell them, like, how quickly you were able to work through this
yeah,
and how is it looking on the other side? Why was it all worth it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The only thing I wanted to say there
Yeah.
is that just because I'm saying it's confrontational and scary, the program is built so beautifully, and the coaches are like, they create such a safe space that it doesn't feel scary once you're in it. It just
Thank you.
works out beautifully. Well, little tiny steps every single day brought me to a place right now after little over 3 months, um, where I am finally in complete love with my son. Like, I remember the moment when he was in my arms, I was nursing him, and I was just looking to those big, beautiful brown eyes, and I was like, this is it. Finally, I feel that bond and that deep connection. I felt such gratitude and love to him. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like it was less than a couple of months ago where I wanted to like escape all this. I didn't even want to be a mom anymore because I just sucked so bad, and I didn't, where was the joy? And here I am. And I felt this deep love and gratitude. and this unbreakable bond of connection towards my son that I wasn't able to feel the first year of his life and that I was craving so badly. Um, on the other hand, my marriage has transformed completely. Um, we are in a phase where we are the team that I always knew we could be. We can communicate, we can support, we can listen, we can understand. It's almost like it's almost like we're in our honeymoon phase again, you know. The honeymoon phase of parenthood, I will call it, because it's like obviously different. It's the three of us now, not just the two of us. The joy is different, even bigger, but it's like it brought me the peace, not just to me, but to my marriage. And that is something I did not expect from this program. So I came into it feeling unhappy and like realizing the issues, but I thought, okay, the best that could happen is that I'll stop yelling and feeling so angry and frustrated. But I did not expect that it's going to completely transform my marriage and bring us back together. Um, I am able to stay in the moment. And that was my goal when we had our assessment call. I remember telling you, you asked me, what do you want to get out of this 3 years, 3 months from now? And like write it down as your goal. And I said, well, I just want to have moments where I'm like fully present with my son. I don't want to be anywhere else. I'm just right there soaking in the moment and like feeling the joy. And I've had countless moments like that ever since. I'm able to go with the flow a lot easier than I was before. I'm able to go with the flow, be flexible, just really look at him and see him for who it is and for what he really needs, not what I think he needs. And this has brought so much more ease and joy into our everyday life. I am able to, like, one big thing that helped us was like just transforming our everyday routines, just tweaking it a tiny little bit, realizing how I was holding on to routines that were like just killing the joy. Like to give you a specific example, in the mornings we would wake up and I'm like, um, I always had this thing that I'm like barely awake, but I need to get him out of his dirty diaper, get him changed first before he can go out to the living room and start playing. And obviously he was like so happy to be awake and he just wanted to go and play. It was always a disaster. The last thing he wanted was to lay on the changing table to wait for me to change him and all that. And it always sets the tone for like the whole day. You know, we started the day off the wrong foot immediately. Like I was impatient, I was unhappy, and just a little change, like, okay, so what if he would just go to the living room in his dirty diaper for once and start playing with his cars? Like maybe the world is not going to end, and maybe, just maybe, I will get 5 to 10 minutes for myself to go brush my teeth, comb my hair, wash my face, get out of my pajamas, and feel ready to start the day with him. And it's crazy how that little change brought like the world of a difference into our days. You know, me being able to let go of that controlling, no, I have to do this first because this is the right order of things. And if I don't do this, I'm letting you, sorry, excuse my language, but like running around in your diaper like that. And well, guess what? He was happy playing. I had 10 minutes for myself. Everybody wins. Little things like that that I could not even see. It was not even an option before. And now my brain just opened up to all of these possibilities that are just tiny little tweaks making, yeah, everything different. Everything.
This is it. And what you're showing here by sharing this example is that you are the best expert on your life and on your son and on your marriage. What I'm doing with my team is not giving parenting scripts or tips.
Yeah.
For sure, not even like a relationship advice. I'm not a marriage counselor. But by you removing these layers of, yeah, the reasons why you had to grip onto control because you were scared of being judged as the beep mom. Once you let that go, and exactly as you said, all the options open up, and suddenly there are so many possibilities how you can make it win-win. And everybody's
Yeah,
happy, and you make it actually so much easier for yourself. Not because you're suddenly becoming a lazy mom who doesn't care about their kids. Not on the contrary. You're having your priorities set
yeah,
better
yeah,
about what really matters. So,
exactly. And that has been such a grounding, like the main message that always helps me pull me back is like what really matters here, just like you said. That one single question is like, okay, am I gonna care about this 10, 20 years from now? Will I even remember this? Absolutely not. Like what matters here right now is so much bigger than a dirty diaper or a schedule that needs to be kept on time. And I have so many examples like this that I could not be more grateful for. I feel like I am finally, on most days, the mom that I always knew I could be. I always knew it. And yes, I can. And everybody can, but we need to ask for that help. We need to take the first step because no, it's not going away on its own. No, you cannot push through it. You can push, you can keep pushing, but life is way too short to spend any other day feeling anything but happy. And yeah, I could not be more grateful. Um, and the changes that it brings, like the unexpected changes in my marriage as well. I don't know. Yeah, just deep gratitude and seeing my husband for who he is, like finally seeing his side. Like he didn't change, he didn't do anything, right? I did the work, but all the work that I did on my end just had such a tremendous impact on him and us together.
yeah.
It's
Because it's always dynamic. It's always two people coming. It's a dance. And
yeah,
even one person impacts if it's a dance, if that dance is a downward spiral, or if that's going up into like happiness,
yeah,
peace, and even resilience under stress. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And just me being able to understand him is we used to have this pattern of getting into a fight or like me feeling him getting frustrated or like something happening in his brain that I'm not even aware of, but him like starting to create distance and just like pulling away from me and going to his own little world. Well, then I used to panic, like, what? He doesn't love me anymore? What is happening? I need your love because otherwise I'm like, what am I gonna do? And like I've been trying to like kept going after him. What's wrong? What's wrong? What can I do? How can I help? He just kept shutting down more and more. It would turn into a huge fight. And at the end of all that, we would spend days, sometimes weeks, playing this silent treatment slash passive aggressive comments, me feeling completely miserable the entire time. And I'm sure he was too. And at the end of it all, it usually was just a big discussion where I never got my resolution because I was always expecting an apology that never came. So we just kind of moved on, him pretending like nothing ever happened, me being totally like frustrated with the whole thing. Well, this transformed into one day, one evening we had a little disagreement, but it didn't even become a fight because I was able to stop at the moment where I was like, okay, this conversation is not going to serve anybody anymore. So I'm just going to look inwards, make sure that I am okay, let him deal with his side of the story that he needs to go through. I was able to just stay calm, stay happy. I really did not feel, not even, it was not just a surface level thing that I put on, but I didn't feel the frustration internally. I was fine. I was at peace with him being distant from me for a little while.
And this is key. And if I may interject, because there is a risk for all the women who have a different trauma pattern and that being people pleaser, they might shut up and not yell or not make that nagging, frustrated comment just because they don't want to create a drama. So that's exactly, it's very good that you're saying that it was not just externally that you declared peace, but you felt it inside. So that's
Yeah.
important because that's a clean, healthy way to go. And even underneath what you're describing here, without going into like a relationship coaching, but I see it very often. Yeah. That's why I want to mention it. Very often for a hyperachieving, controlling, perfectionist tendency women, they have what's called anxious attachment. So you're going after it. Whenever you're
Mhm.
feeling insecure, not good enough, like, is there a problem? You go after it and you need the answers, exactly as you said. What often happens, the trauma bonding, when we choose a partner, we choose a partner with whom it fits. We choose a partner who is calm. And sometimes, if he's not healed and if he didn't take care of his beep, he will be the avoider. He'll have the avoidant trauma coping mechanism. And especially for men, I'm not making any generalizations like stereotypes, but it is very common for men to be raised as, don't be a wussy, don't cry, this is nothing, man up, you need to be the man, men don't cry, like, don't be like a little baby crying girl. They are taught to shut down the emotions and avoid feeling uncomfortable. They don't know how to deal with emotional, dramatic woman, hysterical, like all the ugly labels
Yeah.
from the past, right? So then what happens is that the more emotions are coming his way, the more and more he will be avoiding. And that's a beautiful example, exactly what we shared before. The relationship is a dance and want to stop the negative, the toxic pattern by, for anxious women, stop running after him, give him the space to process his own stuff. There is no reason for a conflict. Yes, things have to be cleared out. Yes, we are not talking about just avoid it. Like, there's a drama, there's a conflict, you don't agree, so just avoid it, everybody go into their corner. That's not what I'm saying. You need to talk about it, but when everybody is calm, not when everybody is triggered in their own way. So
Yeah.
this is why you were able to figure it out. So all the kudos are going to you, Jacqueline. You had tremendous courage. You followed up exactly as I'm saying, talking to everybody at the beginning. You need to be ready to take the accountability and responsibility for your own healing. Me with my
Yeah.
team, we are not doing any abracadabra behind the scenes. Like, no, we are very transparent after each session. You got the tool, you understood how to use it and how, like, what to do in few seconds at a time, but every day, several times a day, and you did the work.
Yeah.
That's why it's working for you. That's why you're seeing such amazing results because you became the hero in your own story. You stopped waiting for nobody to like rescue you. You were not sitting like a victim in the corner pointing fingers. And you were not trying to hyperachieve it, manage it by yourself by reading 50,000 trauma books once you realize what's happening. No, you took the steps, you used your intuition to see, okay, well, who is going to help me? What is it that I need? And then you went and you did the work, even if it was scary, even if you had no idea what's coming. You just did it and you stayed with it. Perfectly imperfect. So well done to you.
Well, thank you.
I cannot wait to see how this is going to develop because you just finished the basic sequence of
Yeah.
the 3 months. So
Yeah.
now it's just going to be, it will continue to be a roller coaster like for every woman, but now you have all the tools to be able to use them by yourself. And also, as we were talking on your final consultation with me, like you're feeling the inkling, not from your hyperachiever, but maybe, just maybe, let's talk about the advanced level. What happens next? Now that you feel, okay, baby is fine, not a baby anymore. Son is a big
Yeah,
boy
it's
now.
crazy.
Relationship is fine. So there are no fires, there's no more firefighting. But what do I do now for myself? Like, who am I? Now that you discovered you are not the hyperachiever, yes, you're an ambitious woman who can lead and is not afraid. You're not a over controlling, but you are somebody who can create structure in chaos and
Yeah.
who's not afraid, like who has these like project management skills. So like then, okay, if I don't have to use it to prove anything to anybody to make myself feel good because I already do, I know I'm okay. So then how can you use these skills for your benefit, not to overdo
Yeah.
it? So I'm really excited, and let's do like another podcast episode follow up 1 year, 2 years later because it's going to be amazing. Like there are so
I
many
would
things
love
waiting
that.
for you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been so much fun. Like I've told you too, this entire process has been so much fun for me. discovering, uncovering, rewiring, just seeing what is possible once
Because
you're
it's a whole
okay.
new world now, not just with your son, like all these possibilities opening up, how to sort out
Yeah,
tough situations, but in your entire life, like everything
yeah,
opened up.
yeah, yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jacqueline. I took already more than enough of your time. I hope this was useful also for those who were listening. Please feel our intentions. All of these inspirational podcast episodes are really just for you to be able to connect and see yourself in maybe in parts of that pain and struggle. And then give you that hope, give you the inspiration, what becomes possible once you commit to yourself. Yeah, we are not selling here anything. The process is a little more structured. There are more things to check if you would be a good fit as well. But I hope that if anything, like what you can walk away with is to feel, like even see, if you're watching on YouTube, you will feel Jacqueline's energy. Like you will see it, how she's shining. And as she said, this is possible for you too. Let's check that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Jacqueline. I'm going to see you later. And good
Yeah.
luck, everybody. Sending big hugs to all like the loving moms who are trying to do it for your kids. Your kids are lucky to have you anyways. So well done. See you later.
Bye.